All right, it's January 1st, 2023. It's in the 60s today and sunny. We had rain yesterday. A little over a week ago, we had very cold temperatures going down into the negatives with the wind chill. A lot of the radishes and other brassicas got hit pretty hard. You can see the daikon here. Most of them have gotten spongy. There is a little bit of growth on there that might be new. The winter grasses have come in and stayed in pretty well. What have we got here? I believe that's a vetch. Most of the cover mix did pretty well. You can see some greenery coming in through here. The clover's been holding up well. And this area was pretty heavy with daikon radish. There were also some turnips and other root crops in here, but mostly daikon. Winter rye coming in very well. This is the game bird mix. And I went ahead and put the winter cover mix into it. You can see here, there is a decent amount of green inside of it now. It did take a while to get established, I imagine, because it's got a lot of shading. Most of the seed heads at this point have been eaten by birds. There's a little bit of sorghum left, a little bit of millet left. The center aisle here that I bush hogged in the late summer was very heavy in daikon and looks like it's mostly been wiped out. Here's one here that's definitely fried, and see it's like rotting celery. Getting into a fairly clover-rich area. Now that everything's died off, you can see there is a decent amount of broom sedge out here, more than it looked like early in the summer or late in the summer even. Now that it's standing proud. Got the locust trees in. It's primarily locusts. There are some willows along this stretch as well. But this will be for a high intensity firewood production row. Sasquatch, come. So through here is pretty bare. I didn't seed heavily in here at all, knowing that we would be bringing trees in. I threw a little bit of stuff down on top afterwards. They were planted with a pull behind tree planter, so it leaves kind of a bare dirt mound. Now these trees are also in one of the areas that has heavy water flow. And about 2 weeks ago now, we had a pretty heavy rain event. Very quickly, a lot of surface water all over the field. This whole back driveway was actually covered. So when we start getting into more bare ground here, it's not really bare, just not heavily planted and not a whole lot of interesting stuff coming up. This is kind of a water slowing / retention area. So there's a weeping willow here, elderberries throughout, as well as other willows, and then more willows planted in sort of a sweeping line along here. Now they're hybrid willows. They are intended to be utilized for tree hay, as well as cuttings for other wet areas, and potentially getting into rabbit feed or other sorts of feed. Still a lot of standing matter up here. It's pretty heavy in areas. It looks like it's mostly brown, and it really is until you get down into the tall standing grasses. You'll start to see a lot of green. I did hand spread the rest of the seed up through these areas, and I've seen decent germination in the areas that I've been anyways. And there's some stuff in there. Looks like there's some dead nettle, a little bit of winter rye. Still seeing a lot of golden finches out here as well. Some of these areas that have had good germination, I bush hogged these trails in and then came through and just hand spread throughout using those. So you'll see anywhere there was fairly bare ground obviously had better germination than areas with a lot of competition. This looks like some cereal rye in here, or cereal oats, one of the two. There's a combination of the two that were spread this year. Some clovers. Dying turnip, it looks like. Nice and soft. Starting to degrade, and it'll leave a little pocket there. Now this is that summer grass that I'm not sure on the species, but it has stayed very well. Now we still haven't had a snow. We have had that freezing heavy wind days and some very heavy frost at this point, but still no snow or freezing rain. Some more greenery popping up in there. Looks like cereal rye. This is where I've been driving the tractor some. It has been packed down quite hard. So I do suspect after a heavy snow, it's going to lay down. Getting into the wood chips that had beans grown on them. You can see here, still a fair amount of beans around. This is a red ripper, I believe. I threw all sorts of different stuff out here. Hard to crack these open with one hand. Now they have gotten a bit moldy. Hopefully they will still germinate. this was a berm to cut down on wind a little bit, as well as some of the trash blowing off the road before the sorghum got put in. And I was thinking maybe putting a nitrogen fixing plant here might not hurt. And of course, beans, mostly for chicken feed. Most of these summer grasses are about knee high. Looks like a little bedding area here. Some kale maybe. Yeah, kale or forage collards. This is what's left of the chicory. It's been getting hit heavily by the deer about the last month or so.